Hi, Debbie. So finally I'm getting to your video. All right, so these first videos are on your flat walk. So some of the time you're going, the speed is just inconsistent. So he goes and he's flat walking pretty good, and then sometimes he goes a little too slow. So right here, that's a good flat walk. Then, and again, you might have been changing it because of the arena. Now he starts going slower. So again, if you did that because the arena is going downhill or he kept pacing there, then that's perfectly fine. But otherwise, we just want to make sure that he stays the same speed. And I know a lot of times when you went through this corner, he got a little bit pacey and you did everything right. You know, you helped kind of support him and did a little shoulder in, and that helped. So overall, his flat walk is looking really good. It's being more consistent here. But you're just trying to make sure, which is hard, to keep the same speed, because since it's just a walk, it's sometimes hard to feel when they're changing. Sorry, I just cut Debbie's voice off. So, and he's doing so much better now with his back being more relaxed that he can start bringing his head up a little bit more as long as he's staying in the gait if you want more head shake. So right there, he's fine. But again, some of the time it's just the speed starts changing. And a lot of times the horses start to get excited. It's kind of funny. They start getting into it and they're like, I can go faster. And all of a sudden they start speeding up. So I would just, you know, try to keep the speed a little bit more consistent. And his head is fine. You know, it was even fine when you came around that turn. So now we don't have to bring his head down as far because he's keeping his gait much, much better. What I would do if you didn't do it already is do the circles and the leg yielding and all of that at his flat walk now. So when you come in the arena, you know, come in and warm up and, you know, do some small circles and then some walking a couple of times around the arena, and then go to your flat walk and do your flat walk while you're doing the lateral work. So the 20-meter circles and the leg yielding and even the shoulder in, you can do that all now at his flat walk because he's doing so well at it. But you're keeping his legs separated. Everything is looking really good. So here, he's just a little slower than you saw on the other videos. So there I would just have a little bit more speed. And again, I know every time everybody gets to this corner in this arena that sometimes they change a little bit. So again, that's not the horse, that's the footing in that corner. So if you're having issues, then you could try, you know, just cutting that corner off. But there, his head is fine. So again, I kept making you bring it down so much before because he was tense and he was pacing. But now he's got that nice head shake, his legs are separated. All of that is very good. Now here he starts getting a little bit slower. So it's just paying attention to the rhythm of your walk. And then again, I would do the lateral work and circles and stuff at this speed. And I'm sure you were just showing, you know, me his gait, but I would start working those patterns and things all at his flat walk speed. But there, his head is fine. I wouldn't get it any lower. It's all good. Just work on keeping that same speed. Okay, let me get to the next part. He just got a little bit too slow. And you'll see some of the time he's got like a beautiful flat walk, and some of the time it's just kind of so-so. That's just because he's not engaging himself as much at those point in times and driving with his back end, even though he's keeping the same speed. So some of the time you're going to see a lot of head shake and you might feel more motion in the saddle, and then sometimes it won't be there as much. And that, again, just means, you know, we're going to engage his back end a little bit more over time. So you can give little taps with that stick if you feel that happening. But that's a good flat walk. We don't want to go any faster for your flat walk because that's it. Because then he's going up towards his running walk. But your corrections are at the correct timing. You're sitting up nice and pretty. You're, you know, there's some motion in your hands and your legs, but I know that's coming from the horse. So we just try to sit as still as we can. But otherwise, everything is looking really good. Now, I think the next video you're posting is his running walk. So all that was good. And he's stopping nice and square. So you've done a beautiful job with such a young horse. All right, so This is your running walk. So his legs are separated. You got a nice 4-beat gait. His headset is perfect. He doesn't need to be any lower unless he was getting really pacey. And he's driving. You can see him reaching up with those back legs and pushing, and then pulling with his front end. And he's nice and relaxed. All looks good. Now again, I know that spot by the tree is going to give you some issues as you go around each time. So if you guys do this again, I would just cut that part off and stay a little bit more inward towards the center of the arena so you don't have that issue. But I don't have much to say. Your running walk is beautiful. He's really gliding along. He's driving. He's shaking his head. His legs are separated. Everything looks beautiful. And you'll see you don't have as much motion in the saddle because as they go faster with the, walk-in horses or the foxtrotters, that you start to get less motion back and forth. So there you just kind of corrected him, which is good. So if anywhere he's getting pacey, try either leg yielding a little bit as you're going by those areas or doing a little shoulder in or haunches in, because now he knows that stuff well, that you can start using those things to help you if you feel he's falling out of gait. Very good. So again, his head doesn't need to be way down here now. Where it is perfectly fine. And you're keeping much better speed at your running walk. The flat walk always seems to be hard because it's slower, for people. There he got just a little fast and a little pacey, and you corrected him. So perfect. You don't need to stop him and back him up anymore unless he's hitting a really hard pace. Now it's just kind of, half halting and pushing him a little sideways to get him to separate those legs again. So let's see what we're doing here. Okay, so this is your shoulder in. So let me see if I can stop it. So you got his hind leg lined up with his right front leg. I would bend him just a little bit more to bring the shoulders in a tiny bit more. You're otherwise pretty good with what he's doing. And then with your body though, I would turn your shoulders more to the left. It will help him because you're kind of looking straight ahead and your shoulders are straight ahead. So turn your shoulders like you're going to turn and keep your shoulders lined up over his shoulders and keep your eyes a little bit more to the left here. So that's the only thing I would recommend. It otherwise is quite nice. You could push his hindquarter over just a little bit more this way. So I'd make sure your stick is in your left hand in case you need to do that. And then you're going to come back the other way in a minute. So this is your shoulder in this way. So I would turn your shoulders in more and I would be looking over this direction. Like think of looking across the diagonal. Okay. And otherwise it's pretty good. Again, if he's coming off the rail, use that stick to keep his hindquarter on the rail. But otherwise it's a very nice job. And now this is your haunches in. So with your haunches in, when you bring his haunches this way, I would turn my shoulders kind of towards that shed and I would look towards the shed. Because again, you're trying to line your shoulders up over his shoulders. And then your stick's in the correct hand because if it's not coming over, you can kind of give little taps with that stick to bring him over and then use that left leg to hold his shoulders over there. So the right leg comes back behind the girth, pushes that hindquarter over, and then your left leg is going to control his shoulders, and then you keep your shoulders over him more facing that way. So as you do it this way, I would turn your shoulders a little bit more my direction or over here, look over here, and then just try to keep those front legs on the rail. So again, your left leg's pushing them off, but your right leg's going to control those shoulders. It's better right there, except you're kind of looking down. And you hardly look down anymore, so at least I caught it once. Now here is your side pass. As he starts going over, what happens with a lot of the walk-in horses is that their front end goes, their back end goes, their front end goes, their back end goes. So instead of keeping them moving all together like you see other breeds do, they kind of go in two pieces. So what I would do is use that stick as you're using your leg to help catch up his back end. You do tap him, but you tap him in the shoulder, and his shoulders are ahead of his hindquarter. So I would hit a little tap behind the leg as you're pushing with your leg. I'm going to stop it again, just to help his hindquarter catch up. And then when you leg yield the other excuse me, when you side pass the other way, I'd switch your stick to the other hand, and every time you use that leg, if you feel the hindquarter's not moving with the front end, then give little taps to help that hindquarter catch up. So see, the front end starts getting just a little ahead of his back end. So I just give little taps. Get it back, yeah. But overall, it looks very, very nice. Oh, I think now you're doing, okay, so now you're doing the turn on the forehand. So with your turn on the forehand, a lot of times these guys, the gaited horses, will move their front end. So as you push him over with your right leg, keep your left rein right against his neck and keep your left leg right at the girth, because it's his shoulders that are going to move. And you want to use your leg to kind of catch that shoulder to help him to pivot more and not walk so much with those front legs. So see how he's kind of walking with the front legs? The back legs are great. So you're just trying to help him a little bit more by using that leg. So when you turn to go the other way, you want to do the same thing. I'm going to stop it. I would switch the stick over in that hand, just in case you need to help with this hindquarter, and then use this right leg and the right rein, keep it kind of against his neck to try to help control those shoulders more so his front feet aren't moving as much, okay? Again, the back legs are great. They're crossing under. You're doing a spectacular job. But again, I have to critique something, right? Now let's see what you're doing here. So now you got his shoulder. So turn your head a little bit more and your shoulders. Okay, he's doing pretty good, but that'll just help him to know a little bit more which direction you're going. So you always want to look ahead of where you're going. You're pretty good, but I'd still look just a little bit more ahead. And they're so flexible in the back end. See how his back feet hardly move compared to how much his front feet moved when you did the turn on the forehand. So his turn on the haunches, I'm going to stop it because now it's back at the beginning. Your turn on the haunches is actually better than your turn on the forehand, because the turn on the forehand, you move your front legs a little. Stirred me as I was finishing up your video. So again, your turn on the haunches is better than your turn on the forehand right now. But again, with these guys, they kind of wander with that front end. So you're just going to hold them a little bit more with that outside rein and leg, and that'll keep the front legs from moving. But the spectacular part is you got your flat walk, you got your running walk, you've done this all with a very young horse, and I know this is your first gaited horse, so you did phenomenal, and I want the people watching to appreciate that, because you took a horse that couldn't gait, he just walked, and then he paced, and now you have a flat walk and a running walk. So keep advancing, you're doing phenomenal. The next things to start working on after you feel solid with all these things will be his canter, and then in time, you know, he's going to be able to do a racking gait, which is super smooth and super fun. So those would be our next things over time as he builds up more condition. But I would probably get his canter first, and then we can work on the rack after that. All right, again, sorry so much it took so long. Everybody sent me their videos at the same time, and then, you know, all life goes on. But phenomenal job. I am so proud of you and Milo, and I hope everybody has appreciated watching your journey together.